What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Champion Living podcast, the only podcast crossing the lines between the sport of rodeo and fitness. Today's episode, we're catching up on all the rodeo things that have been happening. Calgary just ended. We just got done with the 4th of July, which we talked about a little bit last time, but guys are just building on it still. And we're going to talk about lifting weights, getting bulky. Do they correlate? Will you turn into the Hulk after you look at a weight? We're about to find out. Dudes, what's going on this morning? How are we?
Good.
Yeah, we're good.
Living the dream.
Living La Vida Loca.
Oh, dude, yeah. I've got this like insane knot in my back in between my shoulder blades. And the whole time I was watching Calgary yesterday, like I was on the foam roller pulling out all the tricks that I know to get rid of it. And it was like almost making it worse. And it was like to the point where it's pushing on you so bad. It's like when you take a breath, it's like you can feel it and it's hurting and like not quite debilitating, but pretty dang close. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I got to shake this thing. And I was like, I'm going to be rolling on it and doing all the thoracic rotation that I know how to do for the next day or so at least. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, where did this come from? And I picked up the baby in her baby carrier and I was like, right there. I was like, oh, boom. Yeah, it's from carrying her around. And I was like, okay, but why? Like I carry her around all the time. I was like, okay, I've had a couple really crappy nights of sleep stack up back to back to back. And I was like, that's what it is. And, then just carrying her, sets it off. And I was like, man, I really got to get a good night's sleep. And I've got to. And then I didn't get to bed till like 11 and Cannon woke me up at 5 o'clock this morning. I was like, well, that's not what I wanted. So I was like, I have to go back to sleep. So I lay back down with him. And I'm like, dude, we have to go to sleep. Like, please let us go back to sleep. And finally he fell back asleep and woke up at 8 o'clock or so. So I think that should be about 8 hours in total now. So it feels better now than it did at 5 o'clock this morning. So I'm hoping that was the ticket that I needed to get rid of this thing. Cause man, it was hurting yesterday.
That's the worst, dude, where you just can't get away from it and just constantly bugging you and everything you're doing. And you're just like, why will you not go away? I've been dealing with that too in my like delt lat, but it's from pulling my bow so much. Kind of just got pissed off. And then there was a good 2 days where I like could not pull my bow. I was like, no, that's not happening. And I did the same thing, got a ball out. I got like one of those, it's like more textured than a lacrosse ball, a little bit harder. You've seen it, the big one. And I just jam it up there in my delts and my lats and try and just breathe, because I get to that point where you were talking about where you can't breathe and it hurts so damn bad. But Kelly, I was listening to Kelly Starrett. I was listening to one of his things about, he was talking about hips, but he's like, that pressure is your body telling you, to pay attention to that spot, but also don't ever let it get to that point of like where it's like, ow, like I'm in serious pain here. It should be a little uncomfortable, but biggest thing is finding that little uncomfortable position and then breathing through it and really taking some deep breaths and letting that central nervous system adapt to the pressure and telling it, the muscle is okay to relax and things like that. So that's helped me out a lot. And I kind of been knocking out my breathing exercises while I've been doing mobility, but I think it's funny that you said you were doing yours.
I think that's probably another thing that I've been missing, like just having like a time to like breathe and, like really take deep breaths and be like focused on that. I think that has not been present in my life over the last probably week or so. And I think so if I go through today here after we get done with this podcast, go through those exercises again, work on some breathing, like I think that'll make big headway on it. But I've had clients like have the same thing, and it's all like, there's kind of some steps to take to like get rid of it. But then again, like you said, it's kind of what you said, like not letting it get to that point of pain. Like there's maintenance to keeping it at bay too. And that's another thing that I know for sure I have not been doing enough of. Like I've not been, especially this past week, I did not work out every day like I wanted to. And so I was missing out on some of those key things of keeping that the rotation and, my scapula moving. Like I'm spending a lot of time forward shoulder over a computer and stuff. And like, that's where it comes from, because there's not enough movement like within that space. But yeah, man, it was wild. Like I could round my shoulders forward and like pull my shirt tight and look in the mirror, and I could see the one side sticking up higher than the other side. It was
Super
like
pissed
just
off.
insane.
Super pissed off. I found or Matt showed me a little stretch the other day on Instagram, but you interlace your fingers, bring them behind your head, and pretty much you walk face to a wall. You lift your elbows up as high as you can, and then all you're going to do is let your chest fall to the wall and your ass fall out. It's the best stretch I've ever felt in my thoracic ever. But the first I did, he said you're supposed to hold it for 30 seconds 3 times. I made it like 10 seconds the first set, and I was just shaking. And I was like, oh, we might be a little tight through here. Okay. So I kind of hammered that all day, and I felt a lot better. But legit, if you're starting that or trying to do something like that, like it's okay to do 10 seconds to start and just kind of let your body tell you where it's at. But I was laughing at myself because I was like, what? You're leaning against a wall and you were shaking harder than lifting any kind of weight you've lifted any time recently. So it was a good stretch though. You should check it out.
I've got another one that's similar that I do like that. Probably not. I want to try that one now that you mentioned it, but it's similar in the way that it's almost more like a cat camel, but you grab a medicine ball and you kneel down next to a bench and you put that medicine ball on the bench and you hug it and like wrap your arms around it. And so you create space in that cat position or that
it pushes
position,
it. Yeah.
And then you do the same thing where you push down and you stretch. And so you're getting both sides of it. I really like that one. And usually that one helps. And I was like, when that one wasn't helping yesterday, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble.
I'm in a bind.
This is bad. I need to go to bed.
Bad. Logan, what's up in your life, dude? Dealing with sick kids?
Yeah, sick kids. I guess ignorance is bliss. I'm sure if I laid on one of those balls, like you guys are talking about having knots, I'm like, man, I feel pretty good. But I'm sure if I got on one of those balls, it would take me about 3 seconds to find a spot in which I was crying. Oh, yeah. So I'm like, I'm just gonna pretend like I'm fine. Nothing. Nobody panic. Everything's fine. But our kids, one of the baby is sick, and just typical.
How's Callan's eye?
Sick stuff. Nothing major. Oh, it's so much better. Yeah, it's so much better. For those that follow along on my story, you probably saw, Callan, we were at my dad's for the weekend, and he was running around, and we were out for a walk, and my dad has some plastic barrels out in his pasture, and my stepmom does eventing, so it was like, part of like kind of a jump course that she has set up out there, and right in my head, I'm like, I probably shouldn't play on those things because they've been there for a while, and there's a good possibility that there are creatures living inside of those that we don't want coming out. So like in my head, I'm like, we should not do that. I didn't actually verbally say that though. Just thought it because that's how I usually work. And right after, like 5 seconds after, we're walking away. So I'm like, see, it's fine. Didn't have to say anything. It's okay. We leave. So we leave, and then somebody forgot something or whatever, and we turn around and walk back, and Callan takes off and runs. And sure enough, one of the wasps came out. He's just, I didn't even see it happen, but he just comes screaming towards us, and he's holding his eye, and he's like screaming like he's in pain. And I didn't even have to see it. I just told Lacey, I was like, he just got stung by a wasp. And she's like, I don't think so. I'm like, no, he just got stung by a wasp. I guarantee you there's a wasp nest in one of those barrels. And sure enough, he got stung right here, like almost in the crease of your nose, between your nose and your cheek, like right below his eyeball. And so he's by far the toughest kid, way tougher than me, which I got stung by one just the other day. I was on the phone with Doug. And I was like, yeah, you were. I think I just got stung by a wasp. And I sure did, right in my forehead. So I kind of have gone through, but he is like 30 seconds, 60 seconds, he cried. And then he's like, I'm like, you good? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, you're not about to be. It's about to get bad for you. Of course, we didn't have any Benadryl or anything. So I had to run to the store and got some Benadryl and tried to put some ice on it. He wouldn't do that. If I'd had some tobacco or something, I should have put some of that on there. My dad had some like drawing salve for horses, and I tried a little bit of that and was just going to put a Band-Aid over it because I obviously didn't want him to get it in his eye and stuff. And so I like put just a dab on it and then put a Band-Aid on it. And he was like, nope, not having that. Don't like it. Don't want it. I want it off. So it just didn't, I was like, all right, whatever. So we kept him loaded up on some Benadryl, and it did get it did get bad. We went the next day. We went to a dinosaur world in Cave City, Kentucky. We went down there, and it got it was pretty gnarly for him then, and at the rodeo and stuff. His eye was pretty much shut.
His eye was
I felt so bad for him. Between getting smoked by a sheep earlier this summer and I mean, he was all swole up and then getting stung by a wasp. He is he's the toughest one of the bunch for sure. So, but his eye is fine. It's better. And Cutler's just a little sickly. All the kids are doing pretty good. Sis has gymnastics this morning. We're going to go to here in a little bit. Now that I'm done studying, I don't even know. I have like 8 reels already made. I'm so far ahead on all of my things because I'm not spending 6 hours a day studying for this CSCS. I'm like, I don't even know what to do now. So I'm gonna go take Sis to gymnastics and work a little bit while I'm there. And she has an hour and a half long practice. And so, yeah, life is good.
You guys are going to look back at pictures like 10 or 15 years from now from 2023 and wonder like, what did we do to Callan?
Poor kid.
Honestly, I'm surprised that like CPS hasn't already been here, or like they maybe have. We just were gone at the time, But I'm surprised with all the stuff we post on social media of all the accidents that poor kid's had. I'm surprised somebody's not like tried to take him off our hands already. Because man, that poor kid, man, he is tough, but you kind of have to be, that's kind of the product of having 4 children. We were talking about Cutler the other day
and being a middle one
wing of a baby. He is. Yeah. He's a middle one, but then like Cutler being they're like, oh, he's so easygoing. Like, he doesn't have
you guys are going to pay for that one.
I mean, we have to set him down. Yeah. Well, you have to like set him down and go do a bunch of other things. We can't coddle to him all the time. Yeah. So he's just learned to self-soothe and chill and be pretty happy. And, so anyway, it's each one of them definitely have their own little personalities. All of them have a good flair of pain in the ass, which they get from their mother. But
yeah, I'm sure.
They're yours. That's fair. That's a fair point. I think the emotional aspect they probably get from me, the pain in the ass thing they get from their mama. Faux shit.
Oh, that's funny, dude. That's funny. You guys watched Calgary yesterday? Watch a short round at all? I know Logan was busy, but Paul, did you get to watch it at all?
Oh my gosh,
so good,
dude. Yeah, I was like, man, what a bareback ride, and then watch a bronc ride. Like, holy crap, what a bronc ride!
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah. And then even the bull riding popped off in the 12-man round. I was like, dang, like,
dude, what did they ride? Awesome. Like 9 of them. They rode like 8 or 9 bulls out of the 12. It was nuts.
Yeah.
I've never seen a bull riding like that.
I was like, oh yeah, here we go. And then it was like they rode every one after that.
It was cool, man. It was cool. I'm really stoked for Cade Saunier getting the win in Calgary. That dude has 2 years ago I was talking to him at the college finals, and he was like just kind of getting started and going, and now we look ahead 2 years later, and the guy's just crushing it. Gets the W there. Could not be happier for that guy. He has earned that, worked his ass off for it, and I think he is. Well, dude, just to watch the rodeo, how many young guys there were winning?
He's only been riding bareback horses for like 3 years, right?
3 or 4 years, yeah.
Yeah.
He quit college baseball to ride bucking horses.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But naturally, his dad, he comes by it pretty honestly. His dad was an incredible bronc rider, made the finals at what age?
Well, like 37 or 38 or 39 or more, older than that maybe. I can't remember, but it was one time. But the thing about Cade is that number one, he's athletic, so that's awesome. But he works extremely hard, so he's a hard worker, and he learned the correct fundamentals from the very beginning. We say that time and time again. If you want a recipe for success, you need to learn correctly at the very beginning, and then you have to work extremely hard. And we see what that has done for Cade in the last 3 years. I remember it was like you said, maybe 2 years ago, he was on the phone with him, and he's like, oh, I don't think I'm ready to buy my permit. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, buddy, you're ready. He'd been riding for like 6 or 8 months. And I'm like, no, you need to go. You need to go you need to go to some rodeos. And so anyway, but it has not been an overnight success though. While his success has been more rapid than a lot of other people's, it's been because of the hours that he puts in training and doing things correctly.
Yeah, the foundation was set up perfectly, which is really cool. But yeah, I was fired up for him. And then Dawson Hay went out there and made a great bronc ride. It's just nuts, man. Jared Parsons,
Damo won third, I think.
Did he? Damo won third?
I believe so. Yeah.
Good for Damien.
I think, Damo made the Final Four. I'm pretty sure he won third out of there, so he got him a good chunk of change, which he's been riding. He's been riding hot. He did awesome in Casper, and then all nighted up there for the short round in Calgary, and knocked 2 down there. Yeah. So he's it's a good time to get hot.
Absolutely. Let's talk about a little karma coming back, a little good energy bouncing back for the
Bo Cooper.
Yeah, dog, it's so cool. I was so fired up. Yeah. Talk about
dude, I was like,
I could have cried, bro. I was too. I could have fucking cried. I was so pumped up. Man, so happy for him. It was so good to see him come. I mean, just everything he's been through this year, to everything that happened to him in Houston. He lost 50 grand there, and then to have it come back to him in Calgary. In Calgary, front of his hometown, I got chills, dude, right now just thinking about it. It was, I've never been so fired up about a timed event, nonetheless, tie down roping. But Bo, we're stoked for you, man. We're proud of you. That was badass. That was so cool. I love seeing the success, man.
He was tearing up in the interview afterwards, and I was right alongside of him.
Oh yeah. Man. No, you can't start. I'm gonna do it.
It's allergies.
Yeah. Give me a break, okay? That's so funny, man. That's good stuff. But yeah, I was tickled to see that, man. What a good dude, and that's been earned. So that probably got pretty dang close to, should get him in the NFR. Is what I'm thinking. I'm hoping if he can just keep doing what he's doing for the rest of the season.
I don't know where he was coming in, but
I don't think he was very far down. I think he was in the 20s or something.
8 years so far.
Yeah, and oh man, cool stuff. Good job, Bo. We are definitely Team Bo Cooper.
We'll see what PRCA has to say about it. I don't know if they've updated.
If they've updated it yet.
But Bo is sitting 9th with $79,000, and they have.
I'm guessing that Calgary's in there.
That is without Calgary.
Really?
Oh, no, wait. They have. They don't have the average.
So he's missing like.
Okay.
Oh, I guess that's another fit. Yeah. Okay. So he's going to be up there.
Yeah.
They have all his round money in there. They don't have his average money in there. So yeah.
That's so cool.
He should be sitting pretty right now. Anyway.
Yeah.
Perfect. Dudes, I forgot to tell you. Have I told you about the XTI lights that I got? I don't know if you saw them on my story.
No, I saw it on your story this morning. Yeah.
There's a company in Colorado. They started in the equine and pet business, but making lights for horses in recovery, essentially, like whatever they use them for, eventing or barrel racing or whatever it is, or even stock contracting, rough stock animals. They've been putting these red lights up at night, and they've been sleeping under them essentially. And so they were seeing huge improvements in mood, behavior, performance of the animals, and started moving on to human testing. Really? Did a ton of research on humans, and they are actually working with Whoop, which is pretty cool. And they're tracking essentially what the light is doing to your recovery. And also they have a blue light that you sit in front of pre-workout or during your workout that is supposed to, I don't know how, but they're seeing more strain being produced during workouts. So somehow is allowing you to produce more force, more energy throughout your workout is what I'm taking that as. On the recovery side, so you'll sit 20 minutes in front of that before you work out, or during your workout, you can have it on and just be in front of it. It needs to be 4 feet away from you. So I think I read 4 to 6 feet, and your eyes got to be in like an eye line sight, right? The red light is 45 minutes before bed. Anytime I got a lampstand, I could just put it right here on my desk while I'm working and have it on me for 45 minutes if I wanted to. But I've been just throwing it on when I lay down in bed and just kind of do my breath work, doing my mobility, rolling out, just having that light up. Last night I slept with it on for probably half the night and woke up and turned it off. But the first night I slept with it, I had a 12% increase in my HRV, which was really, really cool. Last night, HRV was the exact same, no increase, but I don't expect it to be like that every single time. But I'm excited to see the trend here over the next 4 to 6 weeks, 8 weeks of what the recovery looks like, what it does for my body. I'm going to have some travel days, so I'll have days where I'm not with it. So I can't wait to see those days when I'm not having to use it, or I'm a little bit more stressed than normal, whatever it is. I can't wait to see the differences in recovery. So I'm going to be kind of keeping everybody in the loop there. When they first came out, they were not, I'm not going to lie, they weren't very affordable. They were like $600 or $700 a bulb. They have come down drastically from that. I think it's about $250 for the setup now, which I think is totally reasonable and feasible.
Because I've been pricing those for a while now, and like I just like Juve and all these other brands that because I think that has something to do with like the light that you choose. Like it can't just be like a red bulb. Like it has to be like it's a certain type of light. And there's all these like Amazon brands or whatever that are not.
They're bullshit.
They're marketing it as red light, but it's not really.
It's a red light.
And so I've been looking at these for a while, and like I'm like, I just can't drop that right now.
No,
like,
I said the same thing.
I don't feel like that's gonna be worth it. But what you're talking about now, you said XTI is the brand?
XTI.us is going to be the website. Yeah, XTI.us.
I'm gonna look into that.
When they first approached me, that probably had to be 6-7 months ago. It's been a while since I initially talked to them. And anything that we get approached with product wise, yes, I want to use it, but I want to make sure that people that are listening to this and people that follow us are able to use it, and it's attainable for everybody, right? And that initial price, I told them straight up that I couldn't represent something like that because it's not feasible for I'm not paying $600 for that, unfortunately. You know what I mean? I just don't. Yeah. I'm not. And so to see them adjust the price really shows me that their goal is to help as many people as possible. The money is whatever. They want to help and spread the word and get people healthy and performing better, and animals doing all the same, so check them out, xti.us. I'm going to keep you guys in the loop. I'll be, doing posts on my Instagram too, just kind of tracking all my status and keeping everybody in the loop on how it's going. But I thought that was really cool. I'm really pumped to check it out. And Jason Suntich is the one who is working with that company. I don't know his exact position there, but he could be one of the, I think he's CEO, COO, whatever that is. But he's also a rodeo photographer, which is cool, and how we got linked up. Really cool. He shot Greeley and all that. So good dude. But check him out, xti.us.
That's awesome.
Very interesting stuff. Guys, let's get into getting yoked. You going to get bulky when you lift weights or what? Like, what's the point? Why wouldn't you want to get bulky? I don't get it.
I wish.
Right? I wish it was that easy.
I've been doing it. If you do, I've been doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me know.
It's so.
I think this is like the biggest pushback that we get.
It's the biggest misconception, I feel like, when it comes to resistance training, and especially with women.
Women too. Yep. Yeah. Because they're like, oh, well, I don't want to look like a bodybuilder. And like, immediately you think like, oh yeah, well, that's a fair enough point. But then like, you think about it, they're not going, we're going to get into all the why and stuff anyway, but like, it doesn't work like that. I guess to put it simply, to kind of to intro into this, like that's not how it goes. And I feel like any bodybuilder that has achieved their, desired physique would be offended if you if they heard you say that, because they've put in hours and hours and hours of time. They've invested money. They've invested, in themselves for probably at least 5 years to get to some desirable physique. 5 to 10 years probably.
Yeah.
And then you think that if you start lifting weights, like, you're just gonna accidentally look like them, like.
Well, yeah, we're starting to see a little bit of a downshift in the myth. We've got this muscle mommy thing that's like big right now, and we're starting to see a lot of like women that are actually wanting.
Are you
to
a muscle
lift a
mommy?
Bit more, and I can't help but think that. Yeah, no, but I'll be completely honest with you. Lacey's bought right into the concept finally. You know what I'm saying? Lacey's an example of somebody that hasn't trained in the past and is somebody that's like actually training appropriate. She has friends that have kids in pre-K where our kids are at, and they're always like, hey, come to our spin class, or hey, go do this, or hey, come, do this, high intensity cardio class. And Lacey's like, no, like, I'm going to stick to my thing. And I can't help but think that, we've CrossFit's been around for a while now, and we've started, I think, some of those, like you might see one of those girls that's doing professional CrossFit, and women are actually like, okay, that's like, she actually has shape. Like, she has, like, how do I, and so that's a big jump to somebody that does professional CrossFit. But I think before you just had female bodybuilders. And so there was this big thing about, like, I definitely don't want to look like that. If that's what you want to look like, cool, love it. But most women don't want to shoot for that. Whereas then CrossFit came along, and it's like, okay, all right, I would like to maybe potentially look more like that. And so now we start to get into like actually women being slightly more interested on the average to lift weights, which I think is definitely a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. And I think what we're going through, I don't think I know what's been happening, is you've got years and years and years of magazines, media depicting what a woman should look like. And it's not muscular or strong. It's frail and skinny. And you look at models from the past, all of these women are not muscular. They're bones and skin. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. And that's where it just gets a little unhealthy towards that spectrum, because people then in turn see that and think, oh, I just need to eat as little as possible, don't touch a weight, and high intensity train the living shit out of myself with cardio type stuff. And it just doesn't work, right? We see results that we don't want usually. So the spectrum of looking at elite powerlifters, you said professional CrossFitters, which I thought was extremely important. Professional CrossFitters look that way because that's their profession. That's what they do for a job. Bodybuilders the same way. The bottom line is you have to have be on dialed in plan physically, nutritionally, mentally. That is your job to look like that. In order to get to that, you're never going to look at a weight or just follow a random program and turn into a fucking Greek god. Like, it's just not possible, right? It's not. And so we get, when people tell me that, and how many times have we heard that on consult calls? And I love it, because I can prove that immediately, change your mind on that, right? I can tell you why that is not correct, but we see that all the time. And we've been talking about girls a lot, but dude, how many fucking bull riders have you gotten that have told you, I don't want to gain weight. I'm going to be too heavy. I'm going to be too bulky. Like, dude, get out of here. You're so tiny.
I don't like lifting weights. I usually leave the weights alone. Yeah, I usually leave the weights alone so I don't get bigger. I'm like, bro, listen, you might have a little bit of a genetic disposition to add more muscle than others, but like, you're going to have to do a lot more than lift heavy because people don't even think about the calories that it takes to be able to add size nutritionally. I mean, it's a job in and of itself. As somebody that has tried to add weight for the last 2.5 years, it is a job to eat enough. If I worked a normal job where I had to go to an office or someplace from 9 to 5 and bring my lunch with me or go get lunch, it's not happening. I'm not eating enough. Like, the only reason that I've been able to add size is because I work from home and I can take 10 steps into my kitchen and make a meal anytime I want to.
You just have to plan incredibly far out if you're not in that situation like we are. So Al,
absolutely,
my fiance, works at a hospital. Just started her first day today at her new job too. I'm excited for her. But dude, yesterday she prepped food all day for the week, all day. So she had her meals for the entire week measured out. She just goes in, grabs it, puts it in the bag, goes to work. Has it all right there for her, has her breakfast set out, knows what she's has her lunch already made. She knows what she's going to have for dinner when she gets home. It's regimented and filled out because she has goals that she wants to achieve, right? Those goals are not including being a bodybuilder. That's just functional, good life, like wanting to be healthy, and she's still tracking her food.
Regular, that's regular old level of commitment. Like that's not intense level of commitment that that becoming a bodybuilder would take, or gaining that much size. Like Al's not going to get bulky because she spent an entire day meal prepping, put in all that effort cooking, grocery shopping, taking her meals, being disciplined throughout the week. Like she's still not going to get bulky. And that's more than what 99% of people are doing.
Exactly. So bottom line,
for sure,
the reality to get bulky takes far, far more than you're willing to put in. I almost promise you that. Unless you are wanting to be a professional bodybuilder, then by all means, hit us up. Let's get yoked and get bulky. You know what I mean? But if you guys are worried about picking up or looking at a weight and just all of a sudden growing arm sizes and leg sizes, it's not going to happen. I promise. Let's talk about the importance of muscle for like that toned look, right? I think this is really, really a cool point because I run in this again. Sorry, I'm just going to go with females a lot because this is my easiest example. But I've been at clinics with Meg and Tosh at some WSF things and had women athletes come up to me and say, these are my goals. And then they see Tosh or Meg and they're like, no, I want to look like her. I'm like, cool, we can do that all day. But the cool thing about her is she weighs 10 more pounds than when we started, but she has 10 more pounds of muscle than when we started. And she has about 15 pounds less of body fat than when we started. Everything that happened to her was an increase in weight because she was increasing the lean mass in her body, which was decreasing the body fat percentage, which was in turn making her look really toned, quote unquote. Hate that word, but that's what we're going with. And everyone looks at her and says, damn, I want to look like that too. Well, you just don't understand that everything she did was everything you said you don't want to do because you're afraid of getting too jacked, right? So just getting real and thinking about, you have to have muscle to have that tone look. That's what the toned is. That's what all the little shapes and sizes, those are muscles. So you have to have muscle to look toned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
exactly.
We don't tone. I've said it before, but toning is for printers.
Tone, I love that.
Tone
That'd just be a shirt.
Is growing. Yeah, the toned look that people talk about is muscle growth, and nobody wants to talk about that because they're afraid that muscle growth means they're going to get bulky, but they're not. Like, if you want to look toned, you want muscle growth. So we need to start to draw the cross the lines between rodeo and fitness versus cross the lines between tone look and you're not bulky, like, or you're growing muscle. Mm-hmm. So like there's a disconnect that people think toned and muscle growth are not the same thing. But if we can start using those words interchangeably, I feel like that would kind of change the overall outlook on, what strength training can do for a person.
Well, yeah,
go ahead.
I completely agree. And the reason being is that we gain muscle, but what typically takes place in that situation is that we lose body fat. Mm-hmm. As we add muscle, it increases our basal metabolic rate. Essentially, muscle is more expensive to maintain. We've said it 1,000 times on the podcast than body fat. So as you are gaining that muscle and working at, quote unquote, being toned, what we're doing is we're actually increasing the amount of calories that it takes for us to run. And if everything else stays constant, sleep stays constant, nutrition stays somewhat constant, then what takes place is we now enter into a little bit of a calorie deficit on average, and we're able to lose body fat while we're maintaining and actually building more lean tissue. And so we see this body composition, body recomposition, this change in losing fat mass, adding muscle mass, which is going to give you the look, the shape, the things that you're really after in a fitness program.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and where does that come from? Like, so matter cannot be created or destroyed. So like, if you are going to build muscle, like, and you are keeping your nutrition similar to what it currently is, you're going to build a finite amount of muscle. Like, you're not going to gain much beyond that. If you wanted to, if say somebody wanted to get quote unquote bulky, they would have to increase their calories in an insane amount, because you have to have a plate that matter. The matter in your body, the cells in your muscles have to come from somewhere. Like, they can't just pop up out of thin air. So they come from energy from your calorie intake. And so you have to dramatically increase your calorie intake if you're going to put on an immense amount of muscle. Without that, you're just going to quote unquote tone up. Like, you're not going to build muscle beyond like a certain capacity.
You're going to burn body fat.
It's impossible. It's physically impossible.
That's
and you're going to burn body fat.
Yeah. So bottom line, when it comes to, I think that was a good transition. We just talked about, you have to lift weights in order to build the muscle and get that tone look. But in order to build the muscle with the resistance training, we've got to talk about what he just talked about, understanding muscle gain and fat loss when it comes to your nutrition. And so you've got to, if you're trying to increase your weight and increase your muscle mass, increasing the caloric intake, your protein consumption, and making sure that balances with your carbohydrates and fat intake throughout the day is going to be number one way to go. If we're trying to lose body fat, we need to be at a little bit of a deficit, but your protein during that time is extremely important when we're trying to cut weight or trying to be in a deficit. We have to be eating. Logan, what is it? 1.6 per kilogram during those times, or is it more?
Typically speaking, I mean, if you're on a cut, typically 1.6 to 2 or even 2.2, somewhere around in there. Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with, essentially that would equal out to around about 1 gram per pound of body weight, or maybe slightly less than if you wanted to do the conversion to kilograms and all that kind of stuff. But somewhere around about in there is going to be right. It's going to keep you full while you're on that cut, but give you the protein that you need to be able to add that muscle mass.
I like that you just talked about it keeps you full during that cut. Y'all, you're cutting calories, but protein, satiation, going to cut that way down. So you'll notice, like, a lot of times I'll eat, it's heavily loaded with carbs or fats, I'm pretty hungry pretty soon after that. If I eat a good dose of protein with that, hunger levels do not come up near as quickly, right? Lasting a lot longer, not as hungry as normal. So during cut, y'all, that's why the protein is so important, to maintain the muscle, but also helps you not sit there, feel like you're starving.
Absolutely.
Guys, what about measuring progress, like beyond just a number on the scale? How do you, because I talked about this, right?
Yeah, we talked.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we talked about this recently, and I want to kind of spend a little more time on it. Is that, like Doug's example earlier, with these young girls at the WSF clinic say they want to look like Meg or like Tosh, like who have their desired look, and you only rely on the scale to measure your progress, there's a decent chance you're going to see that scale number rise. If not rise, like it's going to at least stay the same. And so that could be really discouraging if everything you've been told before then is that you need to be slimmer, or probably the worst thing, you have a number in mind that you want to be at, but you have no idea like what that looks like on you physically. The number on the scale and how your body carries that is going to be way different for everybody. So like, you could have this thing in your head like, oh, I need to be 145. I need to be 145. But then like, you get to 145 and you don't have your desired look still. Like there's a term that I saw on social media called like skinny fat, like where they've lost the weight, but they still don't have the quote unquote toned look because they don't have any muscle mass. And so,
and what does that do to your performance too, though? Like, you know what I mean? Like on the other side of things, like,
it's horrible.
Yeah, you don't look like you want to, and now you're not performing like you want to because you're starved. You're not doing the things that your body needs. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going.
No, it's perfect. This is a great point to bring up. So like I think having a scale number in mind, if you have, a drastic amount of weight to lose, like I'm saying like 50 to 100 pounds, like then yeah, maybe having some ideal goal range, like within a 10 to 20 pound range would be helpful, because then you're making progress towards that. If you were just trying to like say, I want to lose 5 pounds, it's like, well, why do you really want to lose 5 pounds? Do you even know why you want to lose 5 pounds? You probably don't want to lose 5 pounds, honestly.
Or they want something else. They want or they want their pants to fit better. They want to be able to do something different with their life, right? But there's like thinking that leads to that. If I lose 5 to 10 pounds, my pants will fit better. If I lose 10 to 15 pounds, I'll be able to run around with my kids longer or whatever, right? So they're just associating what they heard through whoever, that this equals that. And that's not necessarily true, is what you're saying.
No, exactly. Perfect. And so you need to have some other way. You can use a scale. Like, by all means, if you want to use a scale, use a scale. I tell most people to put the scale in the closet and don't look at it for a while. But if you want to use a scale, you need to use something else also. You need to monitor how your clothes are fitting. Have a pair of pants that used to fit and they don't quite fit anymore, and try them on once a week or once every 2 weeks, something like that. Use a tape measure. You can get a little cloth or a fabric tape measure that they sell at the craft section at Walmart for like $1. Get one of those. Take progress pictures. You can take progress pictures daily. You can take them once a week. Whatever you do, just like the scale, take them, at roughly the same time of the day whenever you're taking them, and then measure those trends over a period of 3-4 weeks, and then again at 6, 7, 8 weeks, so that you have an idea of like, okay, the last 3 weeks went really well. I'm trending downwards. The last, and then the next 3 weeks, okay, cool. We're still on the same path here. My tape measurements have been going down, but the scale number is still staying the same. See, if you only relied on the scale number during that time, you would get super discouraged. But if you have progress pictures and you have tape measurements and you see that, wow, my body looks different. Oh, holy crap, those pants are fitting now. I can button them. This is insane. But you don't get that if you're fully relying on a scale.
That's
I utilize Meg a lot as an example for female clients when I have new female clients that I'm having a hard time getting them to buy into the game plan that we have of lifting some weights, and all with Meg's permission, of course. But like I'll send them a picture of Meg and I'll be like, how much do you think Meg weighs? And nobody even gets remotely close. Nobody that I've had them guess. And I'm like, is this kind of the direction that you want to go? Yeah, that's exactly the direction I want to go. Every time they're off by 15 pounds or more, because I mean, that's what they want, but they just don't know how to get there. And all the things that you guys
don't understand
have said over the last few minutes about, and which is okay, because we've been misled, typically speaking, via social media and fitness influencers for years on how to get where you want to go. And so I think that it's extremely important to monitor that biofeedback, or how your body is responding to what we're doing, over an arbitrary number on a scale.
Absolutely. And we talk about the scale. It's not a terrible thing at all. What happens is it turns into a terrible thing because we get obsessive about it. And so this is a common thing for us about telling clients not to use the scale, because they're coming from a place of obsession with it. They cannot not get on the scale every morning, and they cannot not freak out about 2 pound change at night. And they don't understand that that's just water. Like there's so many things that it just make you freak out, and there's no need for that. And freaking out causes stress. So if we're constantly in a state of stress, we're definitely not going to be seeing the results that we want physically, mentally, emotionally, all of it. So guys, just to wrap this all up, debunking the bulky myth. You're not going to get bulky just looking at weights or lifting weights, guys, and girls, especially girls. I highly encourage you, embrace resistance training. It has huge positive impacts for your overall fitness, your body composition, your performance. Gentlemen, obviously the same way. Guys, we can't thank you enough for listening in. We really invite you guys to share your feedback, questions, or suggestions for future podcast topics. We accept and love to hear all of them. We got to thank our sponsors, Beastmaster Pro Rodeo, the elite gear company in professional rodeo and rodeo everywhere. You can use our discount code CHAMPIONLIVING all uppercase. Going to save you 10% on all of their gear, and their website is beastmasterrodeo.com. Check them out. Guys, until next time, we'll catch you later.